That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child. He is over here breaking down because he loves this child so much. I sit here day after day after day with women hoping a man would drive 16 miles to see their baby. What is this that you perpetrating on these two men? I mean, you just got them all messed up in the head. Thought he was the father, then he heard you cheated, then he didn't want to be the father, but he is the father. You finally done now?
I think I'm starting to see the light, Your Honor.
Mr. Jordan thought he had it all figured out. He was the proud papa of little Caitlin. But according to him, Ms. Heim had other plans, and she turned his world upside down. According to Ms. Heim, she's the victim here. Mr. Jordan abandoned her and her daughter, and she's here to prove he's the father.
Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father.
Mr. Jordan was convinced that Ms. Heim tricked him into believing he was Caitlin's dad. He claimed she lied and said the other guy, Mr. Knight, had already taken a paternity test. But according to Ms. Heim, Mr. Jordan had been there for everything, from the cravings to the afterbirth.
So, Mr. Jordan, you say Ms. Heim tricked you?
Yes.
Explain.
She tricked me into thinking that I was the father. She tricked me into thinking that Caitlin was my first daughter.
So Ms. Heim is a little bit of a trickster, huh? If Mr. Jordan is telling the truth, this case could be an uphill battle for Ms. Heim. And what's up with her just standing there and smiling? Like, are we hearing the same thing?
Yeah.
Were you being deceitful, Ms. Heim?
No, ma'am. He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together.
Ms. Heim might have been smiling because she was confident. She seemed super sharp giving that testimony. That's why I don't understand how she fumbled it at the end. For the 100th time, I just know does not count as evidence in this court or any court for that matter.
And he needs to stop listening. No, he listens to his family members, my family members, the people on the street, and everything about that. And I just came today to show everybody on the street.
Yeah, she must have been smiling through the pain because Ms. Heim just cued in the waterworks. That's a tough question to answer, especially when you're not sure who your kid's real dad is.
Yeah, if I will, there's never been a moment where Caitlin and I have been around each other and she feels like I love her less than or anything like that.
I'm not judging your cravings, Ms. Heim, but did you eat the pickles with the ice cream? Either way, Mr. Jordan was there to provide both, which makes the fact that they're both here today pretty crazy. What's even crazier is that Mr. Jordan was and still is ready to be a dad to little Caitlin.
But this is what I don't understand. It was all going well.
It was, you know what I'm saying?
And so how does it go wrong?
This is where it goes wrong. Her and the family member get to like an altercation or whatnot, like an argument. It wasn't even an altercation, an argument.
Now that, folks, is what we call a bombshell testimony. Props to Mr. Jordan too, cause not everyone could have narrated that story so smoothly. I can't imagine what must have been going through Mr. Jordan's head at the time, after all those foot rubs and pickles. Oh, and it gets worse.
But as she was saying it, she pulls out phone and she started showing me I could pull it up. I ain't gotta lie. It's what the family member tells me. And I'm like, that of the other guy and my daughter, you know what I'm saying, like having moments together or...
See that, Ms. Himes, that's what real evidence looks like. The picture of a stranger holding your little girl with a caption claiming he's the dad. I can't help but feel bad for Mr. Jordan because as things stand right now, it seems like Ms. Heim took him through the ringer.
So this is another one posted up, and this is from
Santavius
Knight, and it reads, "Me and my baby Kate."
Time to even take my daughter over to somebody else's house. Like,
oh man, Miss Heim has been playing a dangerous game. How did she not think this would come back to bite her in the ass? Come on, the least she can do right now is come clean for Caitlin's sake.
Santavius, that he's calling her his baby.
I mean, I didn't tell him that. I told him I was pregnant.
Miss Heim, I'm gonna need you to tell me what deal is. I need to know what's going on.
Thank you, Judge Lake. Everyone, myself included, is getting sick and tired of Ms. Heim being caught up in one lie after another. What's the deal, Ms. Heim?
She's old enough to know. Father is Mr. Jordan or Santavius. Have you ever told Santavius Knight, this gentleman here, that he is her biological father?
All I said was that I was pregnant when I first found out I was
Trying to get Ms. Heim to talk is like trying to get a dog to breakdance. It's just not happening. Judge Lake is as frustrated as everyone else in that courtroom, and Mr. Jordan's case just got a whole lot stronger. This case could be a done deal once Mr. Knight steps in.
We are here discussing the paternity of Caitlin, and it has been brought to this court's attention. There are pictures of you with Caitlin where you put in a caption that this is me and my baby Kate, where you are
just as I expected, Mr. Knight's testimony has Ms. Heim stuttering. This is turning into a beatdown. Every single testimony has been destroying Ms. Heim's case, and she hasn't had a single good response. I guess that's what happens when you tell that many lies.
Town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
What did you say she said to you again?
She told me that it was my baby. She said, I'm pregnant. I said, what you telling me for?
Ms. Heim has to be kidding. Either that or she's just a terrible human being. Because why in the world would you play two men who genuinely want to help like that? I'm just sad she roped her daughter Caitlin into this whole mess.
Why did you tell Mr. Knight he was the biological
I did not. I
father?
said I was pregnant.
Where's he getting all these stories about making the birth certificate right and all of this?
I don't know. I called him when I found out I was pregnant and told him that I was
Oh my God, the lies just keep coming. At this point, I'm not even sure Ms. Heim is her real name. She's probably even lying about being in the courtroom. Quick, someone tap her on the shoulder and make sure she's not a hologram.
What is this smirk? You had the same smirk on your face. Burst out crying when the case first started. You're just so tired of this, and you're just tired
I
of
do want it to
going
be
through
over.
this. What is the smirk? What's behind your eyes? What are you feeling? Why?
Finally, an honest statement from Ms. Heim. She's been dodging those questions like a pro boxer, but at least she answered the most important one. And sure, it took some tough love from the judge and a whole lot of tears to get here, but Ms. Heim might finally be accepting the truth. She messed up.
It's okay, because when you tell it, it can't hold you hostage anymore. It can't. You're in your own prison. And that's why you're just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and lying and telling this person one thing and this person one thing. It can't hold you hostage.
Finally, the results are in, and this monumental mess is finally going to get cleared up. You've got to appreciate how Judge Lake handles this one, though. She even had some wise words for Ms. Heim at the end. Well, there's no more hiding from the truth now. The DNA test results are in, and Caitlin's father is about to be revealed.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father.
Man, this case was a total mess from the start. Ms. Petty is trying to figure out who the daddy is for her little girl Alea. And just like the last case, she's got two potential fathers, Mr. Ballet and Mr. Daniel. It's another love triangle gone wrong.
Miss Petty, you say you grew up without a father and claim you don't want the same for your daughter, Alea.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you've asked the court to DNA test two men who may be her biological father.
This seems pretty clear-cut, right? A woman who believes one man is her baby daddy and another man who believes he's the baby daddy. I didn't say it was normal, I just said it seems straightforward. But as we've already come to expect from this court, nothing is ever as simple as it seems.
So, Mr. Ball, tell the court, why do you have doubt?
So the reason I doubt her is because she was sleeping around with me and Peter at the same time. The only reason I started messing around with her was to get my son.
And all she wanted was what? Yeah, that caught me off guard too, Judge Lake. Ms. Petty is wrong for using her son as a bargaining chip, but hey, she must have really wanted that. You know?
I'm waiting to hear these doubts.
Miss Petty told me she was on birth control. I tried to stop messing with her, but every time I would go ahead and bring like, well, you can't see your son and all this, you ain't gonna be able to.
Well, if that doesn't give you doubts, I don't know what will. I get where Mr. Bell is coming from, because there's no way I'm accepting paternity over a child who's got named after another man.
First of all, first, that I was pregnant before I even told Mr. Daniel. He told me because he was in a relationship, he didn't want to ruin his happy home. He didn't want nothing to do with my daughter. He told
I told her I would.
Who's telling the truth here? One of these two is lying, and it'll all come crashing down soon enough. But I'll tell you what, Ms. Petty is looking awfully suspicious, and I don't think her stories are going to stay straight for very long.
I feel like I'm watching a tennis match. My neck's just going back and forth and back and forth, and you right here in the middle. And I need to know from you how you got here.
That's exactly what happens when you test Judge Lake's patience. You get burned. Mr. Ball actually had some good points. He should just wait his turn to give them. And come on, Ms. Petty. Growing up without a father is no excuse for resigning your child to the same fate. Well, at least she's here today looking for answers.
When I first met Mr. Ball, I fell in love with him. He told me about some stuff he was going through, and he knew what I was going through. And everything was fine, and then he left. And while I was pregnant with my son, I went through kids making fun of me about it.
That was a very emotional testimony from Ms. Petty, but can we really buy it? I mean, I feel for her. I really do. But I don't think that justifies sleeping with two men. Still, those women that bullied her were way out of line.
Why is it that you give her another man's name?
Exactly.
You didn't want her to asking the question.
Sorry.
Miss Petty,
I ain't give
tell
her
me
my
what
last-
you're feeling.
I'm feeling like regardless of the result.
Ms. Petty doesn't look like a player, but the way she's juggling these two men, she's in the big leagues. Mr. Ballet is clearly frustrated, and again, who wouldn't be? He seems like the victim right now, but based on how quickly things change in this court, that could change pretty soon.
So during the window of session, about how often were you sleeping with each man?
I would have sex with them on the same day.
I was afraid I was going to hear that.
All she was trying to do was break a relationship.
I take back what I said. Ms. Petty isn't in the big leagues, she's in a league of her own. Sleeping with two men without protection on the same day? She's just asking for trouble at this point.
I wasn't even avoiding it. If the case is...
This is classic. You said you weren't avoiding the DNA test. Did you hear this, Jerome? He's not avoiding it, but why can't Mr. Daniel take it right then and there?
I'm pretty sure Mr. Ballet is just freestyling now. He's all out of evidence and clapbacks, but it's a good thing the other witness is around. Well, maybe not good for Ms. Petty, but who knows? Maybe he'll end up making her case stronger. Let's hear what Mr. Daniel has to say.
Having a sexual relationship with Mr. Ball, also with you. But you two were in a relationship, right?
Yep.
You obviously have doubt, but how did that doubt come about?
We were at the hospital, and there was a situation where I looked at her.
Okay, well that wasn't a very strong opening, was it? But to be fair, Mr. Daniel wants the baby to be his, so he'll probably go easier on Ms. Petty. On the other hand, Ms. Petty openly admitted to cheating on him with the guy standing right in front of him. How is he so calm?
What's going on here? It sounds like you are caught between two men.
I am feeling like I'm stuck between the two. When me and Mr. Daniel got together, I cut ties off with him.
Damn, is Judge Lake a part-time detective? Because those are some smooth deduction skills. And what's up with Ms. Petty? We don't know for sure, but it looks like she's with a great guy who's a great dad to her kid. But she still wants to be with Mr. Ballet, a man who wants nothing to do with her or her daughter.
You and Mr. Ball had a sexual relationship.
Last week.
It was not last week. Your Honor, the last time we had a sexual relationship is when she said they broke up.
Mr. Daniel, I see you stomping your foot. Is that anger?
You better grab some popcorn, folks, because this is heating up. Ms. Petty is sneakier than I thought, and Mr. Ballet is no saint either. I'm no expert, but having a secret phone is probably in Chapter 1 of the Cheater's Handbook.
Remember she said I always come to her asking. No, she'll text me telling something. What's up with Snakey and stuff like that?
That is actually correct.
Are we still on paternity court, or did someone switch shows to Cheaters? And getting caught is bad enough. Laughing and smiling about it, man. That's just downright disrespectful. Ms. Petty's tears are all dried up now, and she's looking guiltier than she ever did.
I can see the truth is from the look on your face that you all had another sexual encounter that day.
I wasn't even trying to that day.
But not about
I promise. I worked all night. I wasn't even trying to.
Come on, Mr. Ballet, really? By the way, he was talking about her a few minutes ago. You'd think that Mr. Ballet wouldn't even look twice at Ms. Petty. But boy, oh boy, that man can lie. Now, I don't even know who's the bigger liar. Is it Mr. Ballet or is it Ms. Petty?
Young, beautiful baby here in this present moment that deserves to know who her father, right? One man in particular you hope is her father?
Either way it goes, I just want them to be a father.
With all the chaos going on in the courtroom, we nearly forgot the reason why we're here, baby Alea. Judge Lake has heard enough, and it's time to reveal the DNA test results. Everyone is on edge, and the stakes couldn't be higher. You might want to sit down for this one.
Mr. Ball, you are her father. Absolute silence.
He do not deserve to be father.
Ms. Brown's life is about to change. She was adopted when she was just a baby, and after all these years, she was contacted by a man who might be her birth father. Keyword might. That's why we're in this courtroom today, to find out if Mr. Hampton is really Ms. Brown's long-lost father.
Ms. Brown, you stand before the court with your mother, Alicia Brown. You say your world was recently turned upside down when you were contacted by a man whom you've never even heard of.
This one's a doozy, folks. We don't get a lot of men trying to prove that they are the father on this show, so it's always a welcome sight when one comes through. I don't know how Ms. Brown feels about her dad finally making contact after all these years.
What happened when you were first contacted by Mr.? How did you even hear from him?
Well, first and foremost, I am adopted. I was adopted when I was 3 months old, so I...
Talk about a life-changing revelation. And the way she found out is wild. Some girl just slides into her DMs on Instagram claiming to be her long-lost sister, and a message from a dad you've never known on Facebook? Yikes, that's enough to make anyone's head spin.
And so what were you thinking when you read that?
Who are you?
So you've never met this man?
No.
Never heard of him?
Nope.
And next thing you know, he's on your Facebook saying,
What a story indeed. I'm dying to know how this one unravels. I also have a bunch of questions, but I bet Ms. Brown has a lot more than I do. The good thing is we're both about to get some answers because Mr. Hampton is about to join us.
Hello, Your Honor.
thank you for being here. So we just heard an amazing story from Ms. Brown.
I've been looking for my daughter for 20 years, Your Honor.
Well, I don't really agree with how she said it, but I definitely agree with what she said. If Mr. Hampton was there through her mom's pregnancy and birth, why did she end up getting adopted at 3 months old? If I was her, I'd be salty too. Would you mind answering that question, Mr. Hampton?
I had the opportunity to take when I met her at the mall. I didn't know whether she wanted me to take you permanently. I couldn't take you at the time. I had to go back to Seattle.
Something tells me Mr. Hampton is skipping some major parts of this story, and saying Ms. Brown's troubled mom is the reason he left sounds super sus. I can't wait to see that evidence, because Mr. Hampton has left us with more questions than answers.
So this is a picture of, you say, is Ms. Brown's birth mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
And she's pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I've kept this photo for years.
Well, that was underwhelming. Again, some people may knock Ms. Brown's attitude, but man, I'd have said so much worse. If anything, she's just trying to protect herself from the pain of standing next to a man who may have abandoned her when she was a toddler.
That may be true, that in the picture, the baby you're holding is your daughter. But why are you so sure that it is Ms. Brown?
He was off to a shaky start, but hopefully Mr. Hampton has some actual evidence to present this time. Either way, I can't blame the man for trying. After seeing so many men trying to deny their children, it's good to see one fighting to claim his daughter.
When's the last time you saw her? Before today, if this is in fact your daughter.
I haven't seen her since she was about 2 weeks old, Your Honor.
About 2 weeks old.
2 weeks old, Your Honor.
If Ms. Brown is really Mr. Hampton's daughter, this is going to the most difficult reunion ever. His daughter was 2 weeks old the last time he saw her, and the craziest part about it all is, they could literally be in the same room right now. Let's just hope this next piece of evidence is better than the last one.
So you went back to Washington, then you came back to Alaska, and her birth mother gave you this picture.
Yes, Your Honor. And I still have that I've kept that photo on my wall for the last 20 years, Your Honor.
It's not the most convincing photo, but it's definitely a step in the right direction for Mr. Hampton. Everyone is seeing the resemblance between the baby in the photo and Ms. Brown. Everyone, including Ms. Brown.
Your Honor, I contacted social services, Your Honor, and I told them I didn't want my daughter adopted. They told me that I needed to get a paternity test, Your Honor.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm 20.
No offense, Mr. Hampton, but I'm pretty sure you didn't look hard enough considering Ms. Brown hasn't really been hiding. And to be fair, Mr. Hampton has been looking for his daughter. We still don't know if that's Ms. Brown or someone else entirely.
I want to hear from your Ms. Brown, please stand. And first ask you, have you ever seen this picture of your daughter?
Yes, I have.
You have?
I have, and I'm curious to know how her...
Well, things are getting interesting. How could Kayla's biological mom have that picture, let alone know that it exists? I've got a ton of questions that just keep piling up.
So when you adopted her, did you have any information given to you about father?
There's no one listed as a father on...
What are you reading? May I see that?
Your Honor, I got child support papers.
Things just went from 0 to 100. I could have sworn a few minutes ago the most complicated thing about this case was a creased up photo of Mr. Hampton, his baby mama, and his daughter. But now, we've got adoption papers and child support documents. Where do we go from here?
And yet you're telling me 3 or 4 men were tested, and every test...
Yeah, because we wouldn't have been able to legally adopt. We had her from the time she was 3 weeks old. She came to us.
Ms. Brown's adoptive mom, Alicia, clearly loves her daughter, and it's good to see that even though Ms. Brown didn't have her biological parents in her life, she had a great family to support her. And the fact that a bunch of men got tested and the results came back negative has to be good news for Mr. Hampton.
They had me paying child support, Your Honor.
Let me see that paperwork.
They knew.
That doesn't make sense.
Paying child support.
That's what
Don't they have to determine paternity to be able to make you pay child support.
Yeah, you do have to have a paternity affidavit.
Well, then they must have proved that I was your father then.
This is starting to look a lot less like a court case and a lot more like a mystery thriller. Ms. Brown's adoptive parents were searching for her real dad. Mr. Hampton was paying child support for a daughter he'd barely ever seen, and Ms. Brown's biological mom was nowhere to be found.
I've celebrated her birthday every single year, Your Honor. I've always put her name on the cakes, Your Honor, because, Your Honor, I didn't
Jerome, I
didn't forget about her, Your Honor.
Every year you put her name on a birthday cake.
That's right, Your Honor.
Whoa, Mr. Hampton is really serious about this. He truly believes his daughter Kayla is actually Ms. Brown. And all these years, he's never stopped believing. That's the kind of energy you can't help but root for. And as the case goes on, his story is getting more and more believable.
Reaching out to social service.
Your Honor, I've gave you the letter from social services.
Department of Health and Social Services. In May 1994, dear Mr. Hampton, 2 phone messages from you. And I don't have a number to contact you. Please be advised.
Well, that one stumped him. I'm actually surprised he didn't have a rebuttal for that question, but I'm more disappointed than I am surprised. I was really rooting for Ms. Brown to be Mr. Hampton's daughter, but if he's been lying about something as major as Ms. Brown's mom this entire time, I don't know what to think anymore.
I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like you are, but you didn't take me when she asked you, you know? I don't care for how long. It does, you know, even if you couldn't.
After one hell of a mystery, the court is full of every kind of emotion you can think of. Ms. Brown feels abandoned, Mr. Hampton feels anxious, and the entire courtroom feels like clicking on fast forward to get to the results. The DNA test results are in, and this may well be the biggest reveal of all time.
Mr. Hampton, you have desperately waited for this answer. You are not her father.
That can't be right, Your Honor.
But that is me in the picture.
Ahmad is in court to prove he is the father of 22-month-old Nave. When Day gave birth to Nave, Ahmad was thrilled at the prospect of being a father, so it shattered him when Day revealed that he was not Nave's father. It even hurt him more because Nave is his first child.
To be my first child, so I was overjoyed. She couldn't work, so what I did, I tried to do as best as a man that I could do.
And so you found out she was pregnant and you were excited because this was your very first child.
Yes. This was like my second chance, you know, to have a child. Now I come to find out that...
Poor man. He has come a long way, only to have what he adored so much taken away from him. Ahmad said he and Day had been in a relationship before this, but Day insisted it was just a friendship and that she had told him the baby might not be his.
I told him the truth from the beginning, that she might not be his. And he said he wanted to be her father.
Talk to me about the relationship from your point of view.
It was more of a friendship for me. I loved Mr. Ahmad, but I wasn't in love with him. It was just, he was there for me, and I needed somebody to be there for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that began a whole ruckus between Ahmad and Day. It got to the point that Day started getting upset by the accusations.
Oh, you were in a relationship, you think you got a girlfriend.
Right.
You're saying now, Ms. Day, I really wasn't in love with Mr. Ahmad, but he was a good friend. We were having a sexual relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happens with the relationship at that point?
She was at my residence.
That's not true. We didn't even get along that much. I was not at his house.
I mean, somebody just had to say it. Day repeatedly states that they had conflicts and arguments about the baby, often resulting in Ahmad kicking her out of his home. However, Ahmad denies these claims. Despite the judge repeatedly asking him if he was confident he had never heard Day tell him about another possible father, he continued to deny ever being told.
Just feel like
my intentions to find out the truth for this baby. Right.
She's calling it a friendship. On different pages, you all are in different books. And I don't mean it to be funny, because a lack of communication, I mean, it is always running as an undercurrent in paternity situations.
At this point, Judge Lorne was tired of their unmatching stories. She decided to switch the direction of the testimonies by asking them to tell the court about the day of Nave's birth. Regarding this story, the pair seemed to get the facts straight. There were no conflicting responses regarding Ahmad's presence that day.
You're saying you did not hear her say there was another possible father?
Never known another man. She's been...
That's not true.
I went to work. I disagree with that. I feel like you're trying to make me feel some kind of way, because if I was such a good friend, no, ma'am. That right there is a false step.
How is that even possible? The judge needed clarification, so she contacted the hospital for more information. According to the hospital, it was confirmed that a man cannot sign a child's birth certificate without the knowledge of the baby's mother. You know what? Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
The entire time she was pregnant, I cut the umbilical cord, I signed the birth certificate. Matter of fact, her mother picked me up to go have when the baby, her own mother.
I asked him not to sign my baby's birth certificate until we get a DNA, and he did it anyway.
Sign a birth certificate?
I didn't let you. You did it on.
So if Day did not give the nurse Ahmad's name as her baby's father, how did Ahmad's name get on Nave's birth certificate? Well, we're about to find out now.
The hospital where Nevaeh was born, the procedure is when she is asked to fill out a form for the birth certificate, including cannot sign the birth certificate. Were you ever given the information card, but you did not put his name?
No, I did not, because he was there. The other person was not there.
So you gave the child his last name?
Another individual is involved. What's more troubling is that Day placed Ahmad on child support and has depended on him since Nave's birth. Given these circumstances, it's understandable that Ahmad believes he is Nave's father. Moreover, the court investigated Miss Day's social media and uncovered evidence that could contradict everything she's been claiming about not naming Ahmad as her child's father.
Mr. Ahmad, do you remember the nurse saying, "Are you the father of the child?" And you said yes.
We were at an administration desk.
Drugged up, like I was.
Like demean you.
Why do you believe that?
Because she looks like his kid. She looks like him. She don't look like Mr. Ahmad at all anymore.
This is why they say the internet never forgets. Why, if not anything, that post was enough for Ahmad to conclude he is Navea's father. However, Day disagreed, alleging that Ahmad had neglected Navea for months. She mentioned that another man had taken over paternal responsibilities during this time. So who might this other potential father be?
Did a little investigation of your social media. Some very interesting posts.
Yes.
Is that Mr. Ahmad in the picture?
Yes, I said she looked like him at first, but she doesn't anymore. As she get older, she looked more like the other man.
You're affirming his belief.
Day has done a number on these men. The other man also appears quite perplexed. It's mind-boggling that she's kept them uncertain just to fulfill her desires. Initially, Ahmad was her friend supporting her, and now Mr. Flowers is her best friend, who is now possibly Navea's father. At this point, Ahmad is dumbfounded.
Does this testimony surprise you, Mr. Ahmad?
I don't know this man. I'm out of this situation now, and my main deal is, what is the paternity of my baby?
Mr. Ahmad stepped up, and he was taking up the slack.
I never really forced that on him. He did all that on him.
After making both men think they could be Navea's father, you now say they are involved by choice. I'm done with this. Everyone just needs to hear the DNA results so they can move on. Are you curious about the results? Let's find out.
Ahmad versus Day, pertaining to whether Mr. Ahmad or Mr. Flowers is the biological father of 22-month-old Nevaeh Ahmad. You all are going to have to return to your home state and try to get this taken care of. Mr. Ahmad, are you all right?
In this episode, the situation is quite messed up. Taylor had a sexual relationship with her mother's boyfriend, Mr. Chenault. Now, she's in court to establish Mr. Chenault, not the other man she was involved with, as the father of 3-month-old Zayden. The challenge is that Mr. Chenault is denying paternity, despite Taylor's efforts to prove otherwise.
You admit you were intimate with your girlfriend's daughter. You say you strongly doubt you fathered her child. We'll meet her in a moment in a sexual relationship with your girlfriend's daughter.
It started out as a text message, Your Honor. A few days later, she had on...
Chenault's behavior is appalling, and it worsens with his shameless actions. His involvement with Taylor lasted about 6 months until Taylor's mother, Christine Bogardus, discovered their inappropriate relationship. How did Christine learn about this secret? Let's uncover that.
He had kind of manipulated both of us, saying that I told her about what we did and I never said anything, and she said that he told her about when she's not there, she left to go somewhere, sometimes when she's sleeping.
In her house?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's shocking. Christine caught Chenault and her daughter during their sneaky meetups, not during the act. However, this discovery didn't lead to an immediate breakup. Christine was only angry with Chenault for a few days. Meanwhile, Taylor discovered she was pregnant but was unsure of the father then.
It could have been 2 guys.
Which 2?
Mr. Chenault and another guy. And I had to sneak out and go tell Mr. Chenault.
You were honest?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chenault, I'm
I'm guessing at this point, hoping.
Actually, Your Honor, no.
That's quite absurd. At this point, the judge had to involve Taylor's mother, Christine. In court, Christine recounts her suspicions about her daughter and Chenault and how long she had been aware of his questionable behavior. Here's what she shared.
Because my daughter was acting funny.
What was she acting like?
She would get up out of the chair across the room to sit by him.
Oh, no, she didn't. 10-month-old child, grandchild, who's also...
That's correct, Your Honor. We had originally met 20 years ago.
So you watched her grow up?
Yes, Your Honor. I also helped raise.
Sheila Chenault's shameless behavior is unbelievable. This situation is already tough, especially since they are all living together. But the judge wasn't done yet. She had more questions for Chenault and Taylor. After observing their responses and body language, she decided they needed a lie detector test.
We deal in scientific evidence here. So I want to know if both of you say, calm your wife-to-be's fears, and maybe this relationship could move forward like you want it to. How about you, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody have anything to say?
No, Your Honor. I really don't have anything to say.
It's jarring that these two might still be sexually intimate given the circumstances. Nonetheless, the DNA test has been completed, and whether Chenault is the father of Taylor's 3-month-old baby will soon be revealed. At this moment, Christine is probably the most anxious about the outcome. Let's see what the result says.
The results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Holthouse versus Chenault Bogart, as it pertains to 3-month-old Zayden Holthouse, Mr. Chenault, you are not.
It's good one issue is resolved, but Zayden might grow up fatherless as the other man won't take responsibility. Taylor, at 20, is left to raise her child alone. As Christine suggested, counseling would be beneficial, and I agree.
I do think that we all need counseling.
20 years old.
I don't know, just try my hardest just to do what I can for him.
Her mother and I will try to help her.
Can you help her? I don't believe it, not one bit. If you looked up lie in the dictionary, your picture is next to it.
In this episode, Toyetta Williams claims that Adams is the biological father of her 3-year-old son. Adam denies it and is being represented by his mother, Tanya Adams, at the court. You may wonder why Adams isn't in court in person. Well, he has defaulted on child support and is currently in home confinement. In fact, his actions could lead to him serving jail time.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
This very moment, both of you.
True, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams?
No, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Williams, when you met Mr. Adams, did you intend this to be a committed relationship?
Well, besides that, Williams had several sexual partners while she was seeing Adams. This means there's a chance the child could belong to someone else. However, Williams stated that she never definitively said Adams was the father. She even attempted to persuade him to take a DNA test, but he refused.
I asked him twice to get the DNA test. He said, I'm hungover. He was giving me excuses, basically. So I took it upon myself to get help with the DNA test. It wasn't for no money at all. I said, I pay for the DNA test myself. You ain't got to come out of pocket. That part is not my fault. But
so take me back. I need to understand these details.
Oh, so that's how Adams got involved. Regarding his current home confinement for unpaid child support, Williams sought assistance for her baby from the state. When asked to name the potential father, she mentioned Adams's name. And since he failed to appear in court, he was automatically declared the father.
So you didn't show up that day and you were deemed the father by default. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Tell me how you heard about all of this.
My daughter was kind of close to her. They worked together, and I overheard a conversation on the phone. I guess they were supposed to meet or whatever, and she must have met when she...
Since Williams denied ever saying that, Mrs. Adams told the court of another scenario. She stated that one time she went to the department store where she ran into a heavily pregnant Williams with a man who wasn't her son. So what happened during this encounter? Let's hear directly from the horse's mouth.
He was with a guy. She was around 9 months pregnant, and I asked her to sit down and talk to me.
So you don't remember this happening?
Matter of fact, I take that back. I wasn't 9 months pregnant. I was still in the middle of the pregnancy, and that's when I told you of when I was with my ex, and I thought, yes, I do.
Oh, Mrs. Adams is revealing a lot of secrets right now. However, Williams continues to deny all the accusations. She mentions that she now has a stable job and strives to be a better mother. Satisfied with Williams's statement, Judge Lauren decided it was time to hear Adams's side of the story. Let's see how that goes.
Was it your understanding that you may be the father or that you were the father? You didn't believe that?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because first off, she had already told me that the baby wasn't mine. Then she named the baby after her ex-boyfriend.
That would have caused Williams a lot of trouble, but Adams didn't have concrete evidence to prove his statements. Instead, Adams might be in trouble now, because the testimonies given afterward would all point to his carelessness. Take a look at this so you would understand what I'm saying.
One time that I couldn't go, I was hungover, I'm not gonna lie, you know. It wasn't being lazy or nothing, I really was hungover. All the other times that we scheduled dates, she was not present, nowhere to be found, probably off partying or anything, Your Honor.
And then you ultimately end up being on the hook.
Clearly, Mr. Adams did bring this upon himself. Now he owes so much money in child support for a child that has not been confirmed as his. However, the judge needed to know how exactly Adams found out that the court had already deemed him the father of Williams' son. Here's what he had to say.
At the beginning of this year, I started receiving paperwork telling me that I had to make payments of $99 per month.
Why wouldn't I want to show up to my own DNA test to get my son tested? Why wouldn't I? If I knew about it, I would have showed up.
So now the total arrears are over $1,000. Just keeps escalating and escalating.
That's right, but that is not even the worst part. Adams has already spent time in jail for defaulting on child support payments. However, according to him, he was unaware that he was supposed to pay child support for any child, let alone that he owed around $1,000 in child support. So how did he discover this?
Basically, I was walking to the store to get some cigarettes. Police just ran our names. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant.
And so all this is going on because you didn't make it to a DNA test because you were hungover?
Yes, if he just would have got up and got the DNA test when I asked him, we wouldn't even be going.
Know who the father of her child was from jump.
What a mess. These people don't need all this, because what is done is done. All that's left is to find a way forward. Moving on, the judge examined pictures of the baby and Adams for similarities. Let's see how that goes, shall we?
Williams, as you look at Lil John, do you see Mr. Adams?
Just a little bit, but I mean, looks, like I say, it's a possibility. Looks don't mean something sometimes.
So, Ms. Williams, you submitted a picture of your child, baby John, and Mr. Adams about the same age. Do you see a resemblance?
No.
And anyway, I think we've had enough of that. What we need right now is an icebreaker, which in this case would come in the form of DNA test results. Is Adams truly baby John's biological father, or has he been in confinement for nothing all this while? Let's find out.
In the case of Adams v. Williams, pertaining to whether Mr. Adams is the father of 3-year-old John Jones, it has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Mr. Adams?
McKinney appears heartbroken in court as her husband, Brown, denies paternity of their 11-month-old daughter, Amira. Brown's doubts stem from seeing a clip of his wife being sexually intimate with Jonathan Fowler, so he thinks Amira might be Fowler's. Meanwhile, Judge Lauren asks McKinney for her testimony, which she concludes in tears, hoping Amira is Brown's.
I just hope that he's the father of Amira Brown.
Hope that he is.
Yes.
So are you saying that you really don't know, but you truly hope?
Yes.
Okay, that's why we're here. Mr. Brown,
yes,
you do not believe you're Amira's biological father?
No, I do not.
Write the tape. It's wild to see a video of your wife intimate with another man. Even if the baby resembles you, that video could make you doubt paternity. However, Brown claims the baby doesn't look like him but resembles the other man. How did Brown even find the tape?
The girls, they like snatching her phone, so they grabbed her phone. Before they could even get to the video, I grabbed it and it pressed play, and I seen the beginning of the video and I didn't see what I liked, so I just disclosed it. I didn't watch the whole video.
The video came up or you went looking to see what was in her phone?
They were scrolling through her pictures, whatever. Before they could even get to it, I grabbed the phone.
Man, that's rough. It's pretty difficult to wrap your head around something like that. The judge wanted clarity on how the tape was created in the first place, because it's one thing to cheat and it's another to record the action. Let's see what she has to say about it.
At the time, me and Mr. Brown was off and on.
How did you meet the other man?
I met him on a dating website. We started talking online, and then I finally met him in person. He came to my house.
So how often were you sexually active with this man?
10 times.
And now, Mr. Brown, you believe...
Still has more to say, and of course, Judge Lauren has more questions for him. Given this, Jonathan was asked to give a quick rundown of how he met McKinney. Here is what he said.
Met Miss McKinley I met her the ending of 2015 going to 2016.
So, this is my question. What did she say? Who did she say Mr. Brown was?
She never told me. She said that she just got out of a relationship and that they was done.
This situation keeps getting messier. When McKinney's husband, Brown, learned of her pregnancy, he didn't initially doubt it was his. However, complications during Amira's birth made him question paternity. He even refused to sign the birth certificate because he felt like the baby didn't look like him.
Dad, Amira, I said, hey, when I was born, I was pale. But wait, look at her lip. Why does her lip look so fat? That's not my lip. My lip does not look like that. Oh, no, it does not. So from that time in, I put it in my head, I'm like, wait, okay, if she's not mine, then she gotta be.
Brown is quite a character. The judge asks Jonathan when he last had sex with McKinney, and he says a year before Amira's birth, ruling out paternity. So why did McKinney claim he was the father? We're about to find out.
Why did you tell Mr. Fowler you were pregnant at all? If this had
I told both of them
ended-
I was pregnant, but he didn't know I was pregnant before he found
Well, why? I mean, if it's over with him and it's done, why? If you hadn't been with him for an entire year, he's out of the picture. Why tell him you're pregnant?
Why the poker face when she's clearly at fault? As Brown mentioned, something's off. Despite Fowler's testimony ruling him out, Brown still doubts Amira's paternity due to McKinney's behavior. A DNA test is needed to clear this uncertainty. Let's see how that unfolds.
Case of McKinney versus Brown. When it comes 11-month-old Amira Brown, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father, Mr. Brown.
Okay, I apologize.
That eliminates Mr. Fowler as the father. The court also tested Brown's DNA to confirm paternity, a result that has everyone on the edge of their seats. It surprised McKinney when Judge Lauren asked for the next envelope from Court Officer Jerome.
I'm ready for the next envelope, please.
What next envelope?
This next envelope. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostic, and they read as follows. In the case of McKinney versus Brown, when it comes to 11-month-old Amira.
I didn't expect that twist. But what's causing her tears? Perhaps she hoped Brown was Amira's father despite having multiple partners around Amira's conception. It's a puzzling situation. Brown seems most surprised. After all, he hoped Amira would be his since Fowler was ruled out.
What are you feeling in this moment?
I'm actually shocked. Neither one of us is dead. I'm just like...
I need to ask you, do you know who her father is?
No.
Well, I need to ask this respectfully. How many other possibilities are there? Do you remember?
We've got a championship bout between two families, the Langs and the Browns. Mr. Lang and his mom say they have doubts, but they would like nothing more than the baby to be Mr. Lang's. But according to Ms. Brown and her mom, the Langs haven't even bothered to see the baby in months.
Mr. Lang, you and your mother, Ms. Lang, have been waiting in agony to find out if you're indeed the biological father of your little daughter, Janelle. Now,
these two grandmas seem like they're gearing up for war. We're barely 1 minute in, and we've already got conflicting stories. How are you sure the baby isn't yours, but hope the DNA test says she is? Are the Langs just being performative since they're in court, or do they genuinely want baby Janelle to be Mr. Langs' daughter?
Now, Ms. Lang, I'm going to start with you. Why are you so certain this child isn't your son's?
Because I found out that Miss Brown slept with my son's best friend.
Wow, Ms. Lang, I'm pretty sure your son is the one on trial, not you. But anyway, her accusation really riled up Ms. Brown, and you can already tell she's coming with a counterblow for the ages.
Ms. Brown, what is your account of how this relationship began and then later?
Okay, we was on and off for 2 years because he cheated on me every other day. I find out about more than 100 girls, I promise you. I went back and forth with so many girls.
Ms. Brown lays it all out. She and Mr. Lang were on and off for 2 years because he just couldn't keep it in his pants. I'm just wondering how Mr. Lang even had the time to get with 50 to 100 girls. And his mom defending him is just a bad look on both of them.
You were together. He was doing his cheating. Were you sleeping with anybody else as well?
Not that we know of, Your Honor.
And it's none of your business.
Everything on the list, my business.
No, it's none of your business. Are you in the bed with him? Are you in the bed with him?
I don't think
Can I say?
Well, that escalated quickly. Usually, Jerome doesn't have much to do in these cases, but boy oh boy, he's gonna be busy today. With this much energy and rage, these two moms shouldn't be in a courtroom. Toss them some boxing gloves and put them in a ring.
I don't know if the kids are in a relationship or if the mothers are.
Word.
Oh, no.
Because you
are not with that.
You are in the middle of the relationship.
No, I stayed out of the relationship.
Judge Lake took the words right out of my mouth. Who is on trial here? The two moms have taken over this case, and if this is any indication of how they meddle in their kids' affairs, it's no wonder they're in this courtroom today.
That we're being respectful in the court,
Definitely.
but we're also being respectful for the child's sake.
Definitely.
Setting an example for the kids.
Right.
Now, let me understand this story. You were in a relationship. It didn't work out. You then find out you're pregnant?
Yeah.
And what happened?
I was at the doctor. I came home and I gave him the paper saying I was pregnant, and he kept the paper.
I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that Mr. Lang was actually excited about the pregnancy, or the fact that he was showing it off to everybody. But hey, here he is now, denying the child. So what changed?
Mr. Lang, when you found out she was pregnant, you were happy about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any doubts at that time?
Not at that time, no, I didn't.
And what made you start to have doubt?
When Mr. Dixon got in the picture, and he had told me to stop messing with her because the baby she's pregnant with could possibly be his.
Oh, so
Leaving her
she
voicemail
informs
thing.
you that she's having a baby and you're the father?
Okay, Mr. Lang, I see your point. Yeah, if I were him, I'd have doubts too. But on the flip side, what if Mr. Dixon was lying? Because I'm pretty sure that's a strong possibility. Let's hear what Ms. Brown has to say. Maybe she can set the record straight.
Do you have any idea why another man, Mr. Dixon in particular, would say he's the father?
No, Your Honor, and I've never slept with him. Me and him was not even cool. When we even seen each other, we wouldn't say nothing to each other. We just look at each other. When we were cool, it was never like that. It was always a group of friends.
So why would he do that?
Because, like I said before, they were enemies. He was trying to make Mr. Lang mad.
Well, someone isn't being honest here. The question is it Mr. Dixon or Ms. Brown? Either way, I don't think anything is going to change Ms. Lang's mind. She's already made up her mind, and that is not her grandbaby.
Cut the umbilical cord.
All right, Jerome, let me see that evidence.
We both held Miss Brown's legs back while she was pushing the baby out.
So you all were there and cooperating?
On the other side. Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
He was there.
she was only there like my baby.
No,
When this
stop
baby,
lying.
hold on, I'm talking.
That lines up perfectly with what we already know about Ms. Lang and her son. They're all over the place. How are you there for the birth, cutting the umbilical cord, and signing the birth certificate if you already have doubts? Just don't get it.
You're there, you cut the umbilical cord, you signed the birth certificate. When you looked at this baby, did you think the baby was yours?
He thought it was his. Can I interject right there? He thought it was his. She looked like him, to me too, right there.
Really, Mr. Lang? Really? How in the world is the hairline what concerns you most? The baby was just born. What did he expect? A full head of hair with luscious locks. Glad to see his mom had some sense when it came to hairline gate.
I'm looking at the evidence that was presented. These are posts. Oh, it says, say we don't look alike, laugh out loud, boy, that's all me.
Right.
That's you posting about the baby, right?
I wouldn't post anything about, I don't know if this is my baby or this and that.
Oh man, now that's just funny at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does Mr. Lang have evidence against himself? Those Facebook posts are pretty much the opposite of what he's been saying this whole time, and he knows it.
Why every time I text him and say, come get used to her, because when you come and get her, she screams and cries like she don't know you, like she's screaming bloody murder. I text him. I don't text you. Ooh,
bloody murder.
I have Facebook messages. Every time me and him would have an argument about him cheating, his mother would get into it, either try to argue with me or try to lie for her son, which she can, I don't doubt.
The Langs are getting bodied. What's with all the loving Facebook posts if you haven't seen your daughter in months? And Ms. Lang is wild too. I honestly don't think I've seen a messier mom. Give your son some room, lady.
Are you on Facebook with the kids arguing?
No.
Yeah.
She's going back 2 years ago, Your Honor.
So you did it?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay, but you just lied to the judge and say you didn't do it.
Girl, knock it off. Anyway, back maybe 2 years ago, when they first got started together, she always thought I was saying things to him against her. but I wasn't.
Don't worry, Ms. Lang. I think we all have a pretty good idea what those opinions were. And spoiler alert, they weren't very nice. Again, she's not the one on trial here, but since she's decided to take over for her son, we might as well put her in the hot seat.
I offered to pay for a DNA test. When all this mess was coming up, she would talk mess behind my back about the baby not being Mr. Lang's, but when I confronted her, she said she never said it. But when we got into an argument, that's when the topic of the baby not being theirs came up.
Ms. Collier just dropped a bomb, and boy oh boy, if Jerome didn't step in when he did, that would have been one hell of a fight. I don't think the Langs are accepting their role as the heels in this narrative.
I know there's a lot at stake here, and you're two passionate mothers who love your children, but at this time, I think the only way we're gonna be able to move forward is to get the result.
It's about time. If these two moms spend one more minute in this courtroom, someone is getting knocked out. Only one thing can settle this: the DNA test results. Judge Lake, the floor is yours.
Mr. Lang, you are not the father.
Are you serious?
Ma'am, we're not going to have that kind of language in this courtroom.
That's a lie. That is a lie. I swear that's a lie.
Ms. Allen and Mr. Childs have been going at it for the past 20 years. Ms. Allen is convinced that Mr. Childs is the father of her daughter, Ms. Baylor, but Mr. Childs and his wife, Ms. Johnson, are both sure that he's not the dad. It's finally time to get some answers.
Miss Allen, you say that after a brief affair with Mr. Childs, you discovered you were pregnant with your daughter, Ms. Baylor. You say Mr. Childs acknowledged paternity until his wife convinced him otherwise. You intend to prove that Mr. Childs is, in fact, your daughter's father.
We've got another classic he said, she said situation, and there's no telling who's right in these kinds of arguments. Ms. Allen and Ms. Johnson look like they're about to throw down. And Mr. Childs, well, he just hopes Shyncha's not his child.
Ms. Allen, why is Mr. Childs denying your daughter?
His petty wife. She's been doing that for years. You wasn't there when we were sleeping together or nothing.
I can't deny it, Mr. Childs has a point. Why did it take Ms. Allen 20 years to take a DNA test? This is turning into a full-on shouting contest, so I'm hoping we get some answers before we go deaf.
Okay, so this didn't extend for a long time. This is just a few encounters. Then you say you got pregnant, and once you got pregnant, did you tell Mr. Childs, I'm pregnant and I think it could be yours?
Actually, it was rumors, so he came to me.
My eardrums are getting hammered, but at least Miss Allen managed to give her testimony. And spreading rumors about yourself has to be one of the craziest traits I've ever seen. But hey, it's all hearsay until we see some evidence.
Hey, so Mr. Childs?
Yes, ma'am.
How did the story go in your assessment?
Your Honor, listen, wasn't no, hey, listen, I'm trying to get at you or anything like that. No, never that. It's just a moment that happened. So I even asked her, hey, are you supposed to be pregnant by me? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's yours or not.
Yeah, I had a feeling something about Ms. Allen's story wasn't adding up. If she knew that Mr. Childs could be the father, why did she ghost him? Hell, he didn't even know Ms. Allen was pregnant until he heard the rumors.
Miss Baylor was born, you didn't invite him to the birth?
No.
Did you invite any other man?
No.
Did you inform the other possibility or the other possibilities that they may be the father as well? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
And if that isn't the hottest burn I've seen on paternity court, I don't know what is. Damn, how long has Ms. Johnson been cooking that one up? Miss Allen really needs to prioritize her thoughts, and I'm not sure I was messing with him first counts as credible evidence.
Yeah,
okay, I think it's important to know too. When we met her daughter, the daughter told us that she had tested someone else. Why didn't you test him first?
So, Ms. Allen, there has been testimony which indicates that you also tested another man.
Yeah, she did.
Is that true?
Okay, that is true.
Ms. Allen is under fire. She's constantly fumbling her stories, and nearly every statement she makes comes back to bite her in the ass. I just feel for Ms. Baylor because, let's be honest, the only reason she's here is because of her mom's mistakes.
So, Shyncha, Ms. Baylor, were you always told Mr. Childs was your biological father?
To be honest, Your Honor, I was about 14 when I first found out my sister's dad wasn't my dad.
Did y'all get that? Ms. Baylor thought her stepfather was her real dad until she was 14 years old. No wonder she's got so many questions. Ms. Allen looks like more of a villain when we find out that Ms. Baylor had to find Mr. Childs all on her own.
11 years ago, you would have been 9, Miss Baylor.
Yes, ma'am.
So you you made an attempt
Yes,
to
ma'am.
meet Miss
Yes,
Baylor
ma'am.
at 9 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't informed of
I
any
met
of this
her.
till you were 14.
No, ma'am, I met her.
Wait, I'm confused now. Has Mr. Childs has been the good guy all along? According to him, he's always been there for Ms. Baylor and would have been happy to take care of her if she's his daughter. Then again, we've seen some pretty good liars on this show. Who's to say he's not one of them?
None.
And let me ask you this, Mr. Childs. It seems as if you were making earnest attempts to find out. Is it that you still had a question in your mind, so you were just trying to see it through?
I just wanted to see it through, Your Honor.
I know what you mean, Mr. Childs. Being labeled a deadbeat has to feel terrible, especially when you're desperately trying to figure out if the child is yours.
If this was the man you truly believed was your child's father, why didn't you ever pursue child support?
I basically was working and just taking care of her on my own.
Or was it that you just really knew that you didn't know for sure if it was him?
Well, it didn't even matter.
I don't know about you being a good catch, Mr. Childs, but what I will say is that you're making some really good points, man. And come on, Ms. Allen, what do you mean child support doesn't matter? Why'd you bring Mr. Childs to court today?
You know, when she had the baby, Your Honor, she brought the baby to my mom's house one time. And I told her right then and there, look, Niecy, we can get this straight now so we don't have any problems in the future. She disappeared.
And you say he didn't say that, Miss Allen?
Oh man, Ms. Allen is clutching at straws, and on the flip side, you can tell just how hurt Mr. Childs is by this whole situation. Ms. Allen has been playing a game of cat and mouse for 2 decades, and it's finally catching up to her.
Do you have any additional doubt?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You
Yes,
do?
ma'am.
Okay.
I have some evidence right here, Your Honor.
Let me see the evidence, Jerome.
Yes.
Will you describe what this evidence is, sir?
My first evidence is with my children. All my children have 6 fingers, Your Honor. Both of my kids are very tall.
You know what? Things were going pretty well for Mr. Childs up until this point. This whole 6th finger thing that Mr. Childs and Mrs. Johnson are bringing up is so out of pocket. I mean, really? That's their closer? Well, it's a good thing they've already made a really strong case up until this point. It's time for the DNA test results, and you might want to sit down for this one.
Mr. Child, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Baylor.
It's okay, Your Honor. You know, at the same time.
It's okay, honey. It's okay.
Miss Valdez Lark's life could be about to change. Her wedding to Mr. Slater is on hold until she finds out whether Mr. Slater had a baby with his ex. That escalated quickly, huh? Miss Pitts claims that Mr. Slater is the father of her 1-year-old daughter, Harmony. But surprise, surprise, Mr. Slater is denying it. Let's see how this goes.
Ms. Valdez Lark, you claim your engagement to your fiance, Mr. Slater, is on hold until you determine today if he cheated on you and fathered his ex's 1-year-old daughter, Harmony.
Yes, Your Honor.
These two moms hate each other's guts, but what I don't understand is, why is Mr. Slater tucked safely away in the corner while his fiance and his ex duke it out in the middle of the room? If anything, they should be teaming up against him.
That he is still attempting to have a sexual relationship with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Slater, you say there's no way you are Harmony's father because you have not had sexual contact with Miss Pitts in years.
I'm not a big fan of how Miss Pitts' 12-year-old daughter got roped up in this mess. It's one thing to be chaotic, but when your BS starts affecting your kids, you're doing something terribly wrong. And what's up with these two ladies finishing each other's sentences? They've got more chemistry between them than either of them did with Mr. Slater.
So I called him to get him home so we can continue the conversation, because I wasn't going to continue the conversation without him being there. He's a part of this incident or whatever it may be going on between them.
Your Honor, when I was having my baby, the adoption parents was at the hospital with me. I was finna to get my daughter up.
Well then, where the hell was he, Ms. Lark? That's not the kind of thing you say with your chest. This guy is fishier than a can of sardines. And if I was a betting man, I'd wager that baby is his. And the mess between these three continues.
But at the time that he came home, and it wasn't on no message tip. Like,
how was it being messy? Why would you even call me?
Hold on.
You had a way to contact
Ms. Valdez
him.
Lark, but you say you weren't going to have the conversation until you got him home and you weren't speaking.
Right.
Really, Ms. Pitts? I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure having and taking care of 10 kids isn't a flex. And is Ms. Lark really defending Mr. Slater right now? How does she not see the irony in this? What happens when he stops taking care of her kids?
Okay, what I want to understand is, did he doubt paternity?
When I first told him, no ma'am, he didn't say, well, that's not my baby, and he didn't say any of that.
But
obviously you have harmony.
This case is getting more and more complicated by the second. A husband in prison plans to give the baby up for adoption, and a father who's out of the picture. Damn, is this a court case or a daytime drama movie?
Now, Mr. Slater, you're mighty quiet over there.
I see he's the main ingredient to this.
You get this call, and do you believe you're the father?
No.
You don't?
No, Your Honor.
Did I say a drama movie? Well, I take that back. This is a full-on comedy show. You've got to give him props for his confidence, but I don't see how anyone could be obsessed with him. I mean, the dude has as much charisma as a brick.
As to whether or not you're the father of this child, you feel like you're not the father.
Yeah.
Why are you doubtful? Besides the fact you say you haven't had sex with her, are you aware she was in an intimate relationship with anybody else during that window of conception?
Yes, and she's a slut.
I'm not sure that the phrase, "she's a slut," counts as evidence, but if it did, this would be a home run for Mr. Slater. And we've been concentrating so much on Mr. Charismatic here that we forgot about the two ladies who want to take each other's heads off.
What happened when you found out Miss Pitts was pregnant?
I told her, come and get him and his stuff and get him out. He didn't want to go. I ain't going nowhere with that. I ain't. You said you'll be a fool to sit there believe anything she said right now.
Sorry to break it to you, Ms. Lark, but some things are just beyond fixing. Based on what I've heard so far, Mr. Slater looks like the most untrustworthy person on the planet, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Okay.
So he went and got the rings, which I have proof that there was rings. I pawned them.
So you pawned your engagement ring?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was only after you decided you were pregnant, you said, all right, I'm gonna stay with him and see if we can work this thing out because I'm pregnant.
Right.
Hold up, is bro okay? Like, really, why can't I hear anything he just said? Mr. Slater either has a mouthful of rocks or a mouth full of lies. Either way, I have no idea how these two women can understand what he's saying, because I might need a translator.
Has Mr. Slater been in her life?
No, ma'am, he's been to my house and seen my child.
She lying, Your Honor. I haven't seen her. I seen a picture on the phone.
Oh my God.
So you've never seen this baby in person?
Bobby, you need to stop lying because it don't make no sense.
The judge is right. We should be focusing on the baby because this is turning into a beatdown. Mr. Slater is getting hammered, and if you ask me, he deserves it. Playing one person is bad enough, but playing two people, getting both of them pregnant and having as much personality as a piece of cardboard, that's just diabolical.
Then where do you go from here? What do you want her to at least be able to know who her biological father is?
No, ma'am.
But what if she wants to know?
Well, she would make the decision when she turns 18.
That's crazy.
No, it's not, Your Honor. For the simple fact, Robert, he's still not going to step up. Like, she really doesn't know him.
Ooh, he did it now. Mr. Slater has been denying everything that's critical of him, and the judge is finally fed up. It's also nice that both ladies now realize who the real bad guy here is. Things aren't looking good for Mr. Slater.
The first thing out your mouth is she's a lie. Now, I'm starting to believe you the lie. Now, you're gonna have to come up with some testimony in here that makes some sense.
Damn, I don't think I've ever seen someone rile up the judge this much. Judge Lake just gave Mr. Slater a long overdue thrashing, but the sad part is, he might be too slow to catch it. The tension is through the roof right now, and only one thing can close this case out: the DNA test results. Let's hear them.
Mr. Slater, you are her father. Beautiful little girl. What are you gonna do?
Take care of her.
You need to get serious.
Jordan, a man who believed he was a father, had his world turned upside down when he found out that the defendant's daughter, Caitlin, was not his, but someone else's. The shocking revelation was that the defendant, Haim, had allegedly tricked him into believing the baby was his. However, what is Haim's version of this story?
Mr. Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked you into signing her daughter's birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father. You opened your case because you want DNA proof you are not the father so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh wow. Jordan adds that he believes her motive for tricking him was because she knew he was a great father and the better option for her daughter. According to him, she became deceitful as a result. However, Haim disagrees.
No, ma'am. He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together, and I had sex with him one time, but we've been messing around for 7 years, and I never became pregnant. I met Chris, and all of a sudden I came pregnant.
Okay, I don't understand this woman's angle, but let's keep going. Haim claims that the public is influencing Jordan's doubtful thoughts and that the situation hurts her.
Hurt, because my daughter, she's old enough to realize. She came and asked me, does my dad still love her? It hurt me so bad.
She asked you, does my daddy still love me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Based on Jordan's testimony, things were going well between him and Haim. So where exactly did things start turning sour, and most especially, where did the paternity doubts begin to surface? Let's find out.
This is where it goes wrong. Her and the family member gets into like an altercation or whatnot, like an argument. It wasn't even an altercation, it was an argument. And it was like they started like throwing dirt on each other, you know what I mean? So she said something about this family member's in front of this family member's boyfriend or whatever.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Why is Haim smiling like everything Jordan is saying is funny? She's acting funny, and I don't even know what to think anymore. Anyway, let's hear from Judge Lauren, cause it looks like she has a lot to say.
Pictures of...
Wait a minute! Hold on! Caitlin's 2 years old, you think you have a daughter and the perfect girl, you got a good life.
Yeah, I actually have evidence.
Oh, let me see that. So you think you having a good life, and then they get into an argument when Caitlin's 2, a family member of Miss Haim.
Could Jordan be onto something with this evidence? We'll see.
So this is another one posted up, and this is from Santavius Knight, and it reads, me and my baby Kate.
And my thing is, when anybody get the time to even take my daughter?
What in the world is Haim's trying to prove? Why is she putting this poor man through all this when she knows the truth? Anyway, just like you and I, the judge also wants to get to the bottom of this. So she asks Haim more questions. Let's see how that goes.
I didn't tell him that. I told him I was pregnant.
Miss Haim, I'm gonna need you to tell me what the deal is. I need to know what's going on. She's old enough to know. Who does she think her father is, Mr. Jordan or Santavius?
Chris.
Do you think Haim is starting to make some sense? I don't. After that testimony, Jordan once again objected to what Haim said. The most exciting part is that even the judge agreed with him. Here, take a look.
We are here discussing the paternity of Caitlin.
Yes, ma'am.
And it has been brought to this court's attention that there are pictures of you with Caitlin where you put in a caption that this is me and my baby Kate, where you are referring to this little girl as your daughter.
Yes.
Wow, I still don't get Haim's angle, because how will you tell someone also about your pregnancy in such a manner if you were not trying to say to them that it's theirs? Even the judge has to ask her what her deal was, leading two men to think they were her daughter's dads.
No, he's lying. When I came back in town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
What did you say she said to you again?
She told me that it was my baby. She said, I'm pregnant. I said, what you telling me for?
Granted that she is tired of hearing her family say those things, but the main question here is, why did she even tell Santavius about her pregnancy, and even spew other statements like this one the judge asked about here?
Oh no, I called him when I found out I was pregnant and told him that I was pregnant.
Did you tell him you were gonna make the birth certificate right?
I don't remember that, Your Honor.
But the conversation about the birth certificate would happen after Caitlin was born. So you're still having conversations with him after Caitlin's born.
To my family members.
Things aren't looking good for Haim. Jordan is pissed that Haim is, in his words, manipulating them both. And all she could do was smirk. This behavior got to Judge Lauren, and she had to ask her what that was about. Here, take a look.
What's this smirk, Miss Haim? What is this smirk? You had the same smirk on your face. You burst out crying when the case first started. You just so tired of this, and you just wanted to be over, and you just tired of going through this. What is the smirk? What is behind your eyes? What are you feeling?
Finally, some truth. Now that Haim has come clean, I guess it's time for the results to be revealed. Moment of truth. Here we come.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father. Mr. Knight, I know you really thought Caitlin was your biological child. How are you feeling in this moment?
At the end of the day, in life, you can't,
Hendricks and Pacheco lived together happily until the latter began having paternity doubts about Hendricks's 6-month-old son, Isaiah. If they used to be in a peaceful and happy relationship, where did things go wrong? Let's find out.
Mr. Pacheco, you say your doubts about paternity began when you overheard a conversation with Ms. Hendricks' family member and another man who claimed to be the baby's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And furthermore, you recently moved out of the home you once shared and will not return unless DNA results prove little Isaiah is indeed your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
We have all seen the pair start as two people in love, blossoming into a happy relationship. Hendricks added that they had so much love for each other that they were inseparable. By the time she got pregnant, the pair were also happy to receive the news. But the happiness didn't last long after that.
You had love for one another? Was it a committed relationship?
Yeah, we was together every day. Like, we was never apart, we was inseparable every day.
And so at some point, you realize you're pregnant?
Yes, and we was both happy. It was like very exciting, like the whole pregnancy, up until I was about 7 months pregnant.
Now we know how things started to go awry for the pair. It did not help that there were rumors about Hendricks's infidelity flying around. According to Hendricks, things had gotten terrible between her and Pacheco, and he abandoned her when she was 7 months pregnant.
He left me when I was 7 months pregnant. The whole pregnancy, the rest of my pregnancy, I was by myself on, which was very depressing.
Okay,
so
then why?
When I let him be in the delivery room, he wanted to be in a delivery room. He came to the hospital with me. I didn't see him since I was 7 months when I went into labor.
Well, Pacheco has a point. However, Hendricks countered that she had not contacted the ex since she returned with Pacheco.
Yeah, but then after that, a family member of hers says, "Oh, that's the mailman's baby."
No.
You know, that for me.
While you were at the hospital?
No, that was when we had a family gathering at Mrs.
That's because my son has blue eyes and light hair.
That her family member came and said,
and light skin,
said, "Oh, that's the mailman's baby."
It's difficult even to know who is lying and who isn't at this point. However, we all know that the truth will eventually reveal itself as a confession or a DNA test result. Moving on, Pacheco has much to say about his feelings on the whole thing, so let's hear from him.
But for me too, saying about her mother was the one that gave the dude the number. Her ex, the number to get in contact back and forth, all about the baby situation. For me, it really bothered me and it hurted me, you know what I'm saying? Because at one point, I felt like her mother was like a mother to me.
But that's not all. What Pacheco would reveal to the court after Hendricks's accusation would shock the entire court.
You know, we hear women say in this courtroom all the time, when you get angry and you tell a man that this isn't their child, you can't unring that bell. You rang it. Now what's in his mind?
Well, how did that happen? It turned out that after initially refusing to sign the birth certificate, Pacheco went back to the hospital with a change of heart. However, he and Hendricks had a disagreement that led to him being thrown out of the hospital. The judge decided it was high time Pacheco's witness spoke. Let's see how that goes.
State your name for the court, sir.
Matthew Hendricks.
Mr. Hendricks, okay. You are Ms. Hendricks'
his brother.
And yet you're Mr. Pacheco's witness.
And also Mrs. Ferrone's fiance.
So this truly is a family divided.
Yes. Yes.
Well, look at Matthew's fiance running to defend Hendricks. It seems like Hendricks may have been unfaithful to Pacheco, and the child the latter believes to be his may not be. The realization of this hurts Pacheco. However, the judge points out that it doesn't seem like Hendricks understands this.
Explain, Mr. Pacheco, explain it, because I don't know if she feels your pain, and I certainly see it.
She don't, because I look at him every day and there's a doubt in my head, like, if he's not my son. You know, the bond I got one in 7 months. I've been there. You know, I did everything for that kid. Bought him clothes, bought him diapers.
It's sad that despite all the love these two shared, they find themselves in such a situation. It gets messier when Hendricks's witness, Ferrone, backs her friend up to lash out at Pacheco. At this point, the judge just had to invite her to the podium.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Since you're talking, step up to the podium. State your name.
Marcelina Ferrone.
And you are?
Her best friend and Mr. Hendricks' fiance.
Okay. What do you know about this situation?
He was there 100%. Me and Mr. Hendricks, we have a 7-month-old daughter together.
Things are awful at this point, and honestly, everyone needs to move forward. This brings us to the DNA result, which will help us determine whether Pacheco is truly little Isaiah's father.
Case of Hendricks v. Pacheco.
pertaining to 6-month-old Isaiah. Mr. Pacheco, you are his father.
That's good. My nephew has a father. That's good. That's good.
I'm sorry for everything I put you through.
I'm happy for all of you.
Thank you.
30 years passed before Mama Davis confessed to her daughter, Wandick, that the man she believed to be her father was not her biological dad. This revelation has led Wandick to distance herself from Haggerty, the supposed father. However, Haggerty claims that everything Davis said was a lie. Why does he think so?
She lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that I might, or possibly that I'm not the father.
You've raised this beautiful young woman, and you've thought of her as your daughter and nothing else.
For the whole 29 years, yes, Your Honor.
How can someone be so insensitive? Davis has caused many issues for the pair, and this upsets Wandick. She questions Davis why she would lie to her for nearly 30 years if she truly loved her. This is incredibly hurtful because Wandick had formed a close bond with Haggerty.
Haggerty was a wonderful father to me. Like, I was in and out of the system, and he'll come pick me up from my foster care home, take me around to his side of the family, which is, they're awesome. Like, he's just been an outstanding dad. He didn't treat me no different from my sister.
Right, this new witness, Carolyn, who is Davis's sister, appears to be on Haggerty's side. She claims that Davis never spoke of another possible baby daddy, and everyone in their family was assured that Haggerty was the father. So, when did the question of paternity start to rear its ugly head? Let's hear from Wandick.
When I really found out things was I was at a sibling's house, and this other man came up to me and he started crying, and I'm like, whoa. Why are you crying? Like, who are you? I don't know you. Why are you crying? Why are you looking at me just crying? And he was like, you don't know who I am? He was like, I'm your father.
All of this is shocking to Haggerty. Wandick says she began doubting Haggerty was her father and distanced herself from him after the other man entered her life, which Haggerty noticed. Believe it or not, Wandick hasn't seen Haggerty in 9 years.
Last time you've seen Mr. Haggerty, the man you've always grown up believing was your biological father?
The last time I seen him was about 9 years ago.
9 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
So,
Unbelievable. The other guy was at the hospital on the day Wandick was born. So how did Davis manage to involve Haggerty in this situation?
If you were that certain and he signed the birth certificate, everything is here.
The birth certificate.
How does Mr. Haggerty get into the equation?
Question, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor, because I wanted a baby by Mr. Haggerty so bad. So bad, I had 4 miscarriages.
This is wild. Just because she wanted to have a child with Haggerty, Davis went so far as to lie that he was the father of a child she had with another man. That's absurd. Meanwhile, Haggerty has always been proud to be Wandick's father, despite having no legal claim to her.
You were proud to be Miss Wandick's father. Yes. It's something you cherished, a relationship you valued.
Yes.
She said you were a wonderful father to her. Right. So the truth is, your commitment to this young woman was truly about love and about the belief that you were her father, even though you had no legal claim.
That's heartwarming. But then there's Davis, who tries to ruin this beautiful family with her selfishness and lies. And it gets worse. Davis only started claiming the other man was the father when she discovered he was wealthy.
What do you believe was your mother's motivation for creating this type of paternity saga?
Money. When this other man accumulated all this money, that's when she wanted to say, that's who really your dad is. You need to get some money from him.
Whoa, that was unexpected. Things are escalating, and the only resolution for everyone involved is the DNA test result, which is about to be revealed.
When it comes to 29-year-old Marzella Wandick, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Are you okay, honey?
Something that could have been settled 29 years ago.
Wow, this is tough. However, it's nice that Warwick is embraced by so much love from those who aren't even her biological family. As the judge noted, that's a significant blessing.
Miss Wandick, I know I could not give you the level of closure you truly needed. You got one part of the truth, but you stepped in, and I think you're surrounded by your limitless blessings, right?
This case is different from typical paternity issues. Myler demands a test to prove that her ex, Scotty Rasmussen, is not her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee's father. They've been in a custody battle, and Rasmussen claims Myler's actions are driven by hatred, not truth. The judge questions Rasmussen to uncover the truth.
You say she hates you? Why does she hate you?
She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Miss Miller?
No.
It's not?
No.
Oh, wow. However, Rasmussen debunks Myler's accusation and claims that he only tries to see Zaylee because he wants to be there for her as much as he can. And it looks like the judge reasons with him.
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
After listening to their testimonies, it is clear there is more that Myler isn't saying. Judge Lauren also agrees with me, as she asks Myler to tell the court what the problem truly is instead of lying. Let's see how that goes, shall we?
Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he is not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. However, Judge Lauren wasn't done questioning her yet. She must know more about the whole conception story. Let's take a look at how she tries to clarify this and gets the story straight.
An on and off relationship that has infidelity woven through. I understand that. Ms. Miller, you were stating to the court that you were intimate with someone else and you believe that you were intimate with that other person during the time Zaylee was conceived and Mr. Rasmussen was all the way in Las Vegas.
Yes, Your Honor.
But that's not all. Rasmussen had much to tell the court about how Myler dropped the bomb on him. Here, let's continue watching to find out more.
Miss Miller brings it up that I could possibly not be the father because of another man that was involved, and she gave some date. I can't remember the specifics. One of the people we were talking to with the family court commissioner did the math, and it turns out that would be a 10-month pregnancy, and that don't make sense to me.
It is clear that Rasmussen is highly bothered by all this and unable to understand Myler's actions toward him. He says that despite their unstable relationship, Myler still gave Zaylee his name. In fact, Rasmussen presents a copy of the certificate to the court, which the judge examines.
You're on the birth certificate.
Yep, I was at...
You're at the birth?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor. I said, okay.
Oh my, what a story. Myler immediately claims that Rasmussen's story is a perfectly cooked up lie. The court then gave her the floor to tell her own version of what happened when Zaylee was born. Let's see what she has to say.
After she was born, he was gone. He ran out of the room. I didn't see him for 20 minutes after that. While I was in labor, he was sitting on one of those hospital cot beds on his computer in the corner, not paying attention to me in his own little...
Okay, we can all agree that the story is becoming clearer. Anyway, Myler explains that everything was perfect and excellent. With their marriage coming up and their baby being born, she couldn't have felt any happier. Her happiness turned sour when one of Rasmussen's friends informed her about his infidelity.
And I thought we were going to get married. I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born, one of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me, going to multiple places to meet multiple girls.
So far, this episode has been a lot. From stories of infidelity to Myler being Rasmussen's side piece, I don't think I can take any more. Along the line, Judge Lauren asks Myler one fundamental question. If she was feeling this way, why did she wait so long to tell Rasmussen about the paternity issue? Here is what she had to say in response to that.
Even through the breakup, you all are making custody and visitation arrangements, but you know deep down there's another possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why wait so long to tell him?
I told him the first time that we had a court date, but the courts threw it out.
Rasmussen asserts that little Zaylee looks exactly like he did as a 3-year-old, which causes him to stand firm in his belief that she is his. However, Miller claims she does not see any resemblance between them, adding that Zaylee looks exactly like the other man.
And you, as a child, Mr. Rasmussen, on the right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you say you see a distinct similarity.
Yes, I do.
Do you see it, Ms. Miller?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
I don't.
You feel like Zaylee looks like the other gentleman you were intimate with.
Look, we even have the same chin. I'm just noticing that now. Our chin looks exactly the same. We have the same dimples.
Rasmussen is fed up with Mueller's antics. Look at how he expresses his frustration over the visitation schedule.
At first, it was that fly-by-night, just make a date whenever you want to and, you know, go from there. But obviously that didn't work. And then sometime after that, we started out where I had to sit with Miss Miller and my daughter at a park for 4 hours once a week for 4 weeks.
Rasmussen has a beautiful connection with his daughter. I can already imagine how much this would break him if the results come out, and he is not Zaylee's biological father. In fact, there is no need to imagine anything. This man has rightfully explained to the court how he would feel if the result confirmed whether he is Zaylee's father.
In a sense, yes. If it goes the way I'm hoping and I know in my heart that it will, that she is mine, I'm just going to be overjoyed that all the drama and the fighting and all that kind of stuff is behind me. If it goes the other way, I don't think if I had all the time in the world, I could, you know, prepare myself for such a bombshell.
Poor Rasmussen. Anyway, it is time to know what the DNA test result on Rasmussen says. Shall we?
Case of Miller versus Rasmussen. When it comes to 3-year-old Zaylee Rasmussen, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Okay, who is this woman? How is she excited that her child just lost the only father figure she has ever had in her life? This is quite unbelievable and disappointing. Even Judge Lauren couldn't resist expressing her disgust at Myler's behavior.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. But that cheering you did,